So, welcome back to another video on this channel, and today I'm going to be doing another tier list video, but today I'm going to be ranking all of the Chelsea 2019-20 squad based on their performances this season. So yeah, basically I'm going to be breaking down the whole squad that have made appearances in the 2019-20 campaign and pretty much putting them in the tier list from best to worst in terms of their performances this season and how well they've played. And again guys, before I get into this video, a quick disclaimer, this is just my opinion only obviously, and yeah, if you disagree or agree, let me know down in the comment section below. And yeah, one more thing I want to put out there before I get into this tier list video is that I'm not judging these players based on how good I think they are in general. It is purely just based on how I think they performed for us this season. And yes, so as you can see on your screen right now, here are the tiers we have gone for in this tier list video. So at the top one is player of the season contender, and then the next ones down we have a good, okay, disappointing, and then the final one is poor. So yeah, let's get straight into this video now, starting off with Tammy Abraham. I put him straight into the good season section. Now I did argue whether he was good enough to be a player of the season contender. However, although he's had a very good first season for Chelsea in the Premier League, he scored 16 goals this season, which is much more than we thought he'd ever get. But yeah, although his goal record has been very, very good for a 22-year-old striker this season, I do not think that he has been a player of the season contender, mainly because although he has got a very good goal record for us and he has been very good for us this season in terms of his overall hold-up play as well, I just don't think he has quite reached the consistency levels he needs to be a top-level striker and to be a player of the season contender for us this season. So yeah, second player we've got in this tier list is Marcos Alonso. I've put him in okay, purely because I know a lot of people will think that he should have been put in disappointing because he's a horrific defender, let's be real, but we have played three at the back a lot this season, and Alonso in that left wing back formation excels at going forward, because although he's not the best defensively, he's probably the best wing back in the league in terms of going forward and goal scoring and assisting and all that sort of stuff. And just sometimes he's even played a fourth back and hasn't really been caught out as much as he did under Maurizio Sarri and Antonio Conte when playing at fourth back. And yeah, that's why I've gone for him in the okay section, because he hasn't been horrific, but he hasn't really been unbelievable, if that makes sense. So the next one I've gone for is, of course, our captain fantastic Cesar Azpilicueta. I put him in the good season section because although he started off the season very, very poorly, and you know, he didn't really he couldn't really adjust to the pressing and fast build-up play that Lampard likes to play in his system. Someone who is, you know, mainly known for their defensive ability and not really going forward. He's got a lot of assists. He's got our most assists this season, I think. And Reece James, of course, when he came into the team was unbelievable for us, and Azpilicueta has managed to still work himself into that team over Emerson and Alonso in the left back position, and even sometimes at right back as well. He has been very good. So yeah, I'm going to go for a good season for our captain Azpilicueta. Next one now is the first one that is going in the disappointment category, and that is Ross Barkley. And now I know he has been very good recently, but I would just call that a purple patch if I'm being honest, because he has had plenty of them in his Chelsea career. And yeah, for most of the points that he's played this season, he has been quite disappointing in his performances and just hasn't been at the level required for Frank Lampard going forward next season. And now the first player going in the bottom tier in poor, it is Michy Batshuayi. Now of course, he has given every Chelsea fan some great memories. Of course, you think of that goal against Atletico Madrid, the one against West Brom, even the one against Ajax in the Champions League this season. But yeah, overall, every time he's played, except for that game against, you know, Ajax, I think he's been very, very poor in 99% of the games he's played this season, and I think he's definitely going to be the first one out the door next season. Right, so the next player is the first goalkeeper. No, it is not Kepa just yet. It is Willy Caballero, who I've put in the disappointing category, purely because of the fact that, you know, when Kepa got dropped and Caballero came back into the team, I wasn't really ever confident with him in goal. I mean, I know he is like 36 or 37 years of age, so you can't really expect much of him. But even though he didn't do too badly, like he wasn't too shaky when he came in for Kepa, but still I just really didn't have much faith in him in goal, and that's why I've gone for him in the disappointing section, because he really just wasn't up to the plate to step in for Kepa. Next player I've gone with is another player in the good season category. It is Andreas Christensen. Now I was heavily debating whether to put him in the okay section, because certain times this season he was very shaky at the back and was quite poor. However, I see him as one of our most improved players, bar Mateo Kovacic, in this Chelsea squad this season, because although he started off the season quite badly and he didn't even really play that much because he wasn't really great, he's managed to work himself into this Chelsea team, and he's managed to be a lot more commanding at centre back. He's a good reader of the game, as I said, he's good in the ball, and he has given himself a great chance going forward to be Chelsea's main centre back next season if we do sign a centre back to play next to him, or Kurt Zouma, of course. Next one now, another one going in the disappointing section alongside Barkley and Caballero, it is Emerson. Of course, hasn't really played much this season. Started off the season quite well. I think within like 4 or 5 games into the season we were calling him our best player so far. But yeah, as time went on though, he did get caught out for being a bit of a, you know, he's kind of an average player if I'm honest. He wasn't ever going to be a starter for Chelsea. But yeah, overall this season he has been quite disappointing, mainly because he hasn't really played too much. Yeah, he's definitely going to be another one that's probably going to be sold this summer back to the Serie A. And the next one we have in this video is the youngest player in this tier list video. It is the Scottish midfielder Billy Gilmour. Of course, I put him in the good section. Now I know he's only played a handful of games in the Premier League, but he has played games, of course, in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup as well, and he has been very, very good this season. For someone who's making his first season, who's making his breakout season, he has been very good. He controls the game really well, he's very physical for a small guy, and overall just seems immensely confident on the ball every time he gets it, and he's made such a brilliant impact to this Chelsea team throughout the season, and yeah, that's why I put him in the good season section. It's just very heartbreaking that he misses the next 3 or 4 months with an injury, but hopefully he comes back stronger than ever. Now, another player going in the good season category next to Billy Gilmour. Who would have thought we would be saying this at the start of the season? Olivier Giroud, who has completely redeemed himself in a Chelsea shirt. I mean, at the start of the season, he almost looked like he was going to be frozen out by Frank Lampard, but he's come back into the team mainly because of Batshuayi's poor form and Abraham's injury. And yeah, I really do like Giroud because although he's a very, very lanky footballer and doesn't really look like he has much coordination at times, he's a very, very good footballer and quite a good goal scorer at times as well, and that's why I've put him in the good season category, because he's come back into the Chelsea team in his stride and he's done very, very well to take over from Tammy Abraham. Next player I've gone for is one that hasn't really played much this season, mainly due to injury. It is Callum Hudson-Odoi. Of course, he has made like 10 or 15 appearances this season in all competitions, and he has been quite good. When he came back from the injury, he was one of our best players. I mean, but yeah, if you're looking at the vast majority of the season, he wasn't really up to standard. He was quite an average player at times, but I have put him in the okay section purely based on the fact that he did have those 6 or 7 or 8 games at the start of the season where he was just absolutely unplayable. And yeah, hopefully we see that Callum Hudson-Odoi more next season and going forward as well. And now another player we have going in the good season category, I know it's kind of stacked at the moment already, but Reece James, and I was heavily debating putting him in the player of the season contender category, because for times this season I've been even saying, and most Chelsea fans, that he has been our best player this season when he's played. However, he's only made like he's made like 20 appearances or something because he had missed the start of the season and parts in the middle of the season because of an injury. But yeah, when he does play for us on the pitch, he actually is one of our most influential players, because as Chelsea fans have said before, he's very good going forward and not bad defensively either. So I would put Reece James in the good season category, borderline on player of the season contender, because yeah, he's had a very good season and hopefully he can carry that over into the future with Chelsea. And now another player going in the good season category is Jorginho, a man who looks to have lost his place in the Chelsea team at the moment. But to be fair to Jorginho, he's really battled his way to get back into the Chelsea fans' reckoning, because he was despised last season mainly because of Maurizio Sarri and the way he used him. But this season he has been influential to Chelsea and been one of our most important players because his ability to control a game with his passing, and he's a very, very smart footballer. It is much needed in this Chelsea squad, and this season he's been very good in the pivot next to Kovacic when Kante's been injured, and I think he's had a very good season, and yeah, he deserves to be in this category. The next one is probably going to be the first one that divides a lot of opinion. It is N'Golo Kante, and I've stuck him in the okay section, mainly because he has been injured a lot this season, so he hasn't really been able to play as much as he'd like to. And let's be real, since the restart he's been one of our best players, and overall this season he hasn't been bad whatsoever. But the thing is, at the start of the season there was people saying, there was a word going around that Chelsea wanted to sell him because he was having a torrid time at the start of the season. He wasn't really adjusting to the way Frank Lampard wanted him to play in that box-to-box midfielder role. And yeah, that's why I've put him slap bang in the middle in the okay section, because it's been a tale of two halves really for him this season. He started off the season very poorly and then he made his way back into the team, and that's why I've put him in the section he is in. Now, the one you were expecting, Kepa Arrizabalaga, I put him in the poor section. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of Kepa and I still want to see him play in the Chelsea shirt next season in goal for us. However, let's be real, he's had an absolutely horrendous season compared to last season when he was very, very good for us and an unbelievable shot stopper, and I would argue top 3 in the league last season. And then it's just completely flipped on his head because this season he's probably been the top 3 worst in the Premier League. I mean, I don't understand how he can go from having a brilliant season to just an absolutely horrendous season, but I do want to see him given another chance. But to be honest, I'm running out of time with Kepa really, because this season he has been absolutely shambolic, and yeah, I just hope and pray that he can rediscover the form that Chelsea bought him for 72 million for. And now from a very poor season to a very, very good season, Mateo Kovacic, the first player in the player of the season contender category. What more can I say about Mateo Kovacic? In my personal opinion, he is our player of the season. He's been absolutely unbelievable under Frank Lampard, completely rediscovered himself, and this season he's probably undoubtedly been our most improved player this season, because the way he just drives past defenders, he's an unbelievable ball carrier, an unbelievable dribbler. He's even scored a few goals and got a few assists this season, so yeah, I have to stick him in the player of the season contender. I don't think any Chelsea fan will argue with that. From one midfielder to another, it is Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I have to put him in the okay section. I can't put him any higher or any lower, because let's be real, he hasn't really played much this season. He's only played since the restart like 2 or 3 games off the bench, and yeah, hopefully I can judge him on next season rather than this season, because let's be real, he hasn't had enough time to prove himself to Chelsea fans or the rest of the Premier League this season, so yeah, I've just put him in the okay section. Now, the second one going in the player of the season contender, it is Mason Mount. Of course, one of those players again who has been unbelievable for us this season. He came back from Derby last season on loan and he's hit the ground running really, and in my personal opinion, he started off the season very, very well. Of course, he was one of our top scorers in the early days of the season, but then towards the middle of the season he kind of did slow down and start to disappear again, and you know, he wasn't great. But then since the second half of the season has begun, he's really picked himself up and proved that he is well capable of being in this Frank Lampard side who's competing for the title next season. I've always said that he's one of our most important players, not even with his creativity and his goal threat, but also, of course, as I keep saying, his pressing ability. And yeah, I think he's definitely one for the player of the season contender. I think he will be a young player of the season, so yeah, I think he deserves to be in that category. And now another one, sadly, for the disappointing category, it is Pedro. Now, I'm not going to be too harsh on Pedro because, of course, let's be honest, he is past the sell-by date by a few years now. And although I do rate Pedro, and most Chelsea fans do from a work ethic standpoint, because he is a player that will give 100% on the pitch no matter how badly he becomes. But yeah, of course, he is rumoured to be joining Roma in the summer or after the season ends, of course, because he has passed the sell-by date in the Chelsea shirt, and he has been a very good player for us, and this season he did show that he wasn't quite up to scratch for Frank Lampard next season. But yeah, I put him in the disappointing category. And now the third player going in the player of the season contender category, it is Christian Pulisic. What can I say about him? We've already raved enough about him. And even before the restart, he only played a handful of games because of an injury he suffered, or one or two injuries he suffered. And in those games, he looked unbelievable. He looked unplayable at times. Of course, the hat-trick against Burnley, the one where he came off against Ajax off the bench. And yeah, I think it says something about Christian Pulisic, the way I've put him in the player of the season contender category, even though he's played only a handful of games really this season if you look at the bigger picture, because he's been that good in the games he's played. I think he just has to be there, and I don't think he can be any lower. And now another one for the poor season category, it is Antonio Rudiger, the German centre-back, Agent Rudy as we like to call him because of the Werner and Havertz links. And although he has been quite good in my opinion for Chelsea in the past, this season it's just not been for him. He's been very poor, he's been very shaky. In that game against West Ham where we lost 3-2 and he was horrendous in defence, just summed up the season he's been having, and I don't think I can put him any higher than the bottom category. And the third to last player we have is another centre-back, Fikayo Tomori, who I've put in the okay section. I would have actually been quite tempted to put him in the good season section, but he just hasn't played enough, and I don't understand that, because at the start of the season when he was playing alongside Kurt Zouma, they looked like one of the best centre-back partnerships we've ever had this season, and for some reason he's just been completely wiped out of the team altogether by Frank Lampard, which isn't something I necessarily agree with. And yes, I know he's young and he has been quite shaky at times this season, but for most of the season I think he's been very, very good for us. But that is why I put him in the okay section, simply because I don't think he's played like more than 10 games for us this season. But I definitely do, if he doesn't go out on loan next season, I definitely do want to see him feature a lot more. The second last player we have gone with is going in the good season category. It is Willian, of course, who actually is having one of his better seasons in a Chelsea shirt. I mean, for the first 2 or 3 games we were all howling to get him out because he was absolutely horrendous. However, after those 2 or 3 games he's really picked it up, because I think he's had his best goal scoring and assist record in the Premier League with Chelsea ever, really, and it's just credit to Frank Lampard that he's managed to get this out of him. And I'd be very happy to see him sign a contract extension as sort of a squad player, you know, kind of player. I think he'd be very good to have in and around the team and coming off the bench every now and then. But yeah, that's why I put him in the good season category, because I think he does deserve to go there. And the final player in this video is another centre-back, Kurt Zouma, of course, who made that unbelievable tackle against Crystal Palace. I still can't get over that now. But yeah, once again I've chosen to put him in the good season category. I know the good season category is absolutely flooded with players, but look, I think Kurt Zouma definitely does deserve to be there, because he started off the season absolutely horrendously against United, giving away a penalty and nearly giving away 2 or 3 other goals, and overall he was just horrendous. But since that he's managed to form a very good partnership with all the centre-backs he's played alongside, and he has been very, very solid. Yeah, that's why I've chosen to put him in the good season category, because he has had a decent season for us, and I hope we don't sell him because he's just too good to sell. And yeah, that will bring us to the end of this video. Now, if you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like down below. Also make sure to comment down below any more suggestions you would like to see me do for tier list videos, because I do quite enjoy these tier lists. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video, so yeah, see ya.